Okay, so the Eagles fall 27-20 to the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, dropping to 4-5 on the year. And as Philly gets ready to take on New Orleans in the Superdome next week, 1 o'clock game on Sunday night, the 2018 season is now on life support. The Saints, arguably the hottest team in the NFL, and with the Eagles unable to rack up 2 consecutive wins all season long, depleted on defense, unable to figure it out on offense, the season is now in the balance for this team, for the defending Super Bowl champions, heading on the road, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, taking on a Saints team that is just rolling right now. Let's get to this Cowboys loss. So I want to take you back to last Monday. The Dallas Cowboys hosting the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football. Cowboys, in need of a win, coming off the bye, and they fall flat on their face. Lose by 2 touchdowns to a Titans team that is not among the elite teams in the NFL. I know the loss looks better now that Tennessee beat New England at home, but the point being is that the Cowboys were just anemic on offense coming off of the bye. Fell apart defensively against the Titans down the stretch. And when the Cowboys needed to win the most, coming off a bye, national TV, they flatline. That's exactly what the Eagles did on Sunday Night Football. If you have an extra week to study for a test, you come into class on Thursday, your science teacher says, or your math teacher says, you know what? I was going to schedule a test for next Thursday, but it's going to be in 2 Thursdays. Okay, so you have 2 weeks to study for this test. I was going to give you 1, but I'll give you extra time, an extra week to prepare. If that's the situation, not only are you leaving class happy that day, but in 2 weeks, when you sit down to take that test, you better ace it. That was the opportunity for the Eagles. Sunday Night Football, national audience, coming off the bye, after going across the Atlantic Ocean to London to take on a Jacksonville Jaguars team 2 weeks ago that was also desperate for a win, winning that game, looking to string together 2 consecutive wins for the first time all year. Flip the switch on the 2018 season and really establish some footing and momentum in the back half of the year. Perfect opportunity at hand. Get a little momentum going into New Orleans for a clash between the defending Super Bowl champions and the team that looks destined to win the NFC so far this year. And the Eagles are leaving Lincoln Financial Field tonight with egg on their face, because they squandered an opportunity to turn this season around. And I look at this depleted defense now, and this Eagles team in the spot that it's in, they might give up 50 points to the Saints. Eagles had an extra week to prepare for the test, and they flunked it. 3 first-half points is just inexcusable. And this has been the common theme for this team all year. Offensively, can't string a full game together. Defensively, can't play for 60 minutes or close out ball games. And as we transition back to the offense, this is a team that has come out of the gates lethargic, anemic, sluggish, and slow. And on Sunday Night Football, that's exactly what they did. And this team is in dire straits now. Going to New Orleans, I think they're going to get clobbered. And if you ask me, I think the season's done. Redskins in first place at 6-3. Eagles now at 4-5. Tough schedule remaining. But if you watch this Eagles team, do you have any confidence that this team is going to turn it around? The defense is to blame. They've been bad in big spots so far this year, in terms of down and distance situations, not closing out games, and getting a pass rush on the quarterback. They've choked away leads for sure. but the blame is directed on the offense. And this is the best way that I can kind of compare watching the Eagles offense so far this year. You know, when you leave work, you've had a long day, you woke up early, grinded at work, had a couple tough projects to do, made a couple of phone calls. The day really took a toll on you. You leave work and all you want to do is just get home. And sometimes on that path home, you've got green lights all the way through, and you're able to get home quickly. But then there's those times where you just want to get home, you want to see the wife, you want to see the kids, you want to have a warm dinner, and you just keep hitting red lights. And you can't seem to gain any momentum and just get home. That's what watching this Eagles offense feels like. There are spots when they go from 0 to 100 in a blink. When Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in the league, makes a big play. Alshon Jeffrey, an elite wide receiver. Carson Wentz, a top 10 quarterback. There are times when you see those guys make plays and you say, wow, this Eagles offense, it's clicking right now. Looks like one of the best in the league. With an offensive line that last year was one of the best units in the NFL. But then the offense just hits a snag. It just hits that red light. And after you thought that the offense was going to get going, after you thought, man, I'm just going to get home to dinner, you've got some momentum. You're on cruise control, sitting back, riding in the car, cruising, listening to music. You hit that red light, and then you hit another one. And you're just like, man, I just can't get home. That's the Eagles offense. Moments in the game when they move the football, but then they hit that red light. Moments in the game when, between the 20s, they look like an elite offense, like the Saints, like the Chiefs, like the Rams. But then they just can't punch the ball in. Bad in the red zone, bad on third downs, and unable to just gain any momentum or footing all throughout the season. And the Cowboys' loss just epitomized that. 3 first-half points, you score 17 in the second half. Another opportunity to come back, win, close out a game late, tie it up. Eagles unable to do so. Couldn't do it against Tennessee. Couldn't do it against Minnesota. Couldn't do it against Carolina. Couldn't do it again against Dallas. They just keep hitting the red lights. And you can have an Audi. Shoot, you can have a Bentley. You can have a luxury car. But if you keep hitting those red lights, that journey home is going to take a little while. The Eagles, they've got the Ferraris, they've got the players, but they just can't seem to get it going. Now, where does that blame go? Some of it, Carson Wentz. Early in the game, can't throw that bad interception to Leighton Vander Esch, who made the play of the game later on against Corey Clement on that little screen pass. But the blame also has to go to Doug Peterson, because this offense has not been the same unit. The unit that lit the league on fire last year. For whatever reason, Doug Peterson has not been able to duplicate that. Weird decisions. Play calling isn't the same. Situational decisions aren't the same. And I think that comes down to Peterson missing John DeFilippo, who's the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, and Peterson also missing Frank Reich, who was the offensive coordinator and is now the head coach of the Colts. DeFilippo was a quarterback's coach last year, now the OC with Minnesota. Reich, offensive coordinator last year, now the head coach with Indianapolis. Look at those two offensive units. 2 of the tops in the league in a couple categories. Those guys aren't having any problem coaching offense, scoring the football, being consistent. The Eagles are. And I think Peterson misses those guys a lot. And it's really a ripple effect. That has caused the Eagles to not be able to close out games. That's why the Eagles have been bad on third downs, 4 of 10 against the Cowboys. And that's why the Eagles can't seem to get 7 in the red zone, and they continue to come away with 3. That's all a combination of offensive minds that made this team great last year and why the Eagles are struggling so far this year. Eagles haven't scored more than 24 points more than twice this year. Okay, so just once so far this year, the Eagles have scored more than 24 points. Scored 34 against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. Other than that, this offense has been flat out mediocre. Took more than 40 minutes, 43 to be exact, for the Eagles to score a touchdown in this game against a Cowboys team that failed its own test against the Titans. A Cowboys team that was in disarray. A Cowboys team coming in that people weren't sure if Jason Garrett was going to be the head coach beyond this year. And a Cowboys team that looked to have questions at the quarterback position. And now the Cowboys leave Philadelphia with a season-altering win, just like the Carolina Panthers did a few weeks ago. And the Eagles now, 2-3 at Lincoln Financial Field so far this year. When you compare that to last year, when this team was blowing teams out at home in South Philly. Now, just seems like that home field advantage is gone. But it's a trickle-down effect that is hitting multiple areas within this team. Multiple things that are going wrong that hasn't allowed this team to take flight, for lack of a better term. Go back to Peterson and just the oddness of this year. 16 rushing attempts against the Cowboys. Can't happen. Not much Golden Tate. You spend a 3rd round pick for Golden Tate, and I absolutely love the move. But why not incorporate him? You get him during the bye week. You've got extra time to put him into the game, put him in situations where he can succeed, and he barely plays at all. Only had a few targets. That again falls on Peterson. And that again falls on Peterson not having the bright offensive minds like Frank Reich and John DeFilippo, in my opinion, to lean on to get this offense going. You think that if Reich and DeFilippo are with Peterson, that they're not going to incorporate Golden Tate? That they're only going to rush 16 times in a game? It's not going to happen. And you go back to that 4th and 1 in the first half when the Eagles go for it and get stuffed deep in Dallas territory. It was 3rd and 1. If you're thinking 4 downs there, why are you not rushing it with Josh Adams on that 3rd down? 2 plays to pick up a yard rather. You got to think that the Eagles are going to be able to punch it in. But instead, on that 3rd and 1, they go empty, which makes no sense at all. And then on 4th and 1, that's when they try to rush it with Josh Adams, a play too late, and they get stuffed. Again, goes back to the odd play calling from Doug Peterson so far this year. Really think he misses those offensive guys. Press Taylor, Mike Groh, not the same as Reich and DeFilippo. Those guys, studs in their new positions. Frank Reich has the Colts on a playoff track right now. Indianapolis is rolling, if you haven't realized so far. And DeFilippo, I can almost guarantee you is going to be a head coach this time next year. Now, the defense did collapse again. And I don't think the defense is obviously to blame. It's been the offense so far this year, okay? 3 points in the first half again. Inexcusable. Offense has come up small in more spots than the defense. But Jim Schwartz continues to be conservative. which has bitten this team on down and distance situations. 3rd and long, 4th and long. He's been a little bit too conservative. And what was it, a 3rd and 15 tonight? Dallas is able to convert. They score a touchdown. That's a big moment in the game. But the big thing with this defense so far this year, no turnovers against Dallas. They have just 8 all year. They'll give up yards. They'll concede yards. That's understandable. But at some point, this defense has to come through with some turnovers. Because those are momentum, game-changing plays that this team got last year that helped fuel the offense that this defense is not getting so far this year. Yeah, the pass rush isn't the same. It's taken a hit. Injuries have hit that group. Age has affected that defensive line. But in my opinion, it comes down to the Eagles' inability to force turnovers. And they just get torched by Ezekiel Elliott, 151 rushing yards. As the Eagles came into this game as a top 3 defense against the run. So the defense has its problems. The whole team has its problems. Howie Roseman's moves haven't worked out like they did going into 2017 when he hit on all of them. That average has kind of averaged out. Doug Peterson hasn't been the same aggressive, bright head coach as he was last year. Mrs. DeFilippo Reich. Eagles offense in the red zone, 3rd downs, hasn't been the same. Defense can't close out games, has come up small in big spots. And I think that additionally, what confuses me now is that I talk about that Golden Tate deal. I loved it. I thought it was a great move to bring him in for a 3rd round pick, even if it was a 1-year rental. But if Doug Peterson is going to continue to not have trust, not have faith in the run game, which he hasn't all year, his play calling has exemplified that, then why did the Eagles go out and try to get a running back at the trade deadline as well? You give up a 3rd for Tate. You're obviously sending a message to your team that you think that they can win right now. But you're just going to leave a big hole at running back too? Because obviously Doug Peterson doesn't trust those guys. And the fan base doesn't have trust in this team that they can turn it around. Because with the defense now being depleted, right now, at this given moment, their top 3 cornerbacks are all hurt. Darby, out of the game against Dallas. Jalen Mills, Sidney Jones, out with injuries against Dallas. Are they going to come back for New Orleans? Who knows? But that New Orleans offense is just ridiculously lethal. And the Eagles' defense, in its current state, is not in a good spot heading to New Orleans. The Saints could drop 50 on the Eagles. And at 4-5, Eagles need to come up with a win. But their season is hanging by a thread right now. From here on out. Saints, Giants, Redskins, Cowboys, Rams, Texans, Redskins again. The only guaranteed win right there is against the Giants. That brings the Eagles to 5 wins on the year. Really tough remaining schedule from here on out, and this team has problems. Just a nightmarish showing on Sunday Night Football with the chance to prove something, to turn this season around. The Eagles fail to do so, and they fail the test after having an extra week to prepare for it.